What if I told you that the key to understanding your life's purpose isn't in your strengths, but in the parts of yourself you most fear and avoid? This isn't a modern self-help cliché. It's an idea rooted in the profound psychological work of Carl Jung. Jung, a towering figure in psychology, introduced the concept of the shadow, the hidden unconscious aspects of ourselves that we suppress or deny. He famously stated, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." But what does it mean to face this darkness, and how can it guide you to a life of meaning and fulfillment? In this video, we'll explore Jung's shadow theory, blending psychological insights with real-life examples, scientific findings, and actionable steps to help you embrace your hidden self and uncover your purpose. Jung saw the human psyche as a dynamic system with three main components. The ego. This is your conscious mind, the part you identify as I. It's where your thoughts, perceptions, and sense of self reside. The persona. This is the social mask you wear to fit in. It helps you navigate societal expectations, but often hides your true nature. The shadow. This is the counterpart to the persona. It contains the traits, emotions, and desires you suppress, either because they conflict with your values or because society deems them unacceptable. To illustrate, imagine a coin. One side is the persona, the image you show the world. The other side is the shadow, unseen but always present. The two are inseparable, and ignoring one side distorts the whole. Jung described the shadow as both a challenge and an opportunity. He warned, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." The shadow influences your behavior in subtle ways. For instance, if you suppress your anger, it might manifest as passive aggressiveness. If you deny your need for independence, you might become overly dependent on others, resenting them for it. Understanding the shadow is not about judgment, but awareness. By exploring it, you reclaim the energy it holds and move closer to authenticity. The shadow begins to form in childhood. As children, we're naturally whole, expressing a range of emotions, from joy and curiosity to anger and sadness. But as we grow, we're conditioned to conform to societal norms. Parents, teachers, and peers reward behaviors they deem good and punish those they consider bad. A child who is curious but loud may be labeled annoying. A child who defends themselves might be scolded for being aggressive. Over time, these rejected traits are pushed into the unconscious, forming the shadow. Here's where it gets interesting. The shadow isn't inherently negative. While it may contain undesirable traits like anger or envy, it also holds repressed strengths and desires. For example, a shy person's shadow might contain untapped confidence. A perfectionist's shadow might hold a suppressed love for creativity and spontaneity. Psychological research supports Jung's ideas. Studies on emotional suppression show that repressing negative emotions doesn't eliminate them. It amplifies them. Neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett found that avoiding emotions activates the brain's stress circuits, leading to anxiety, depression, and physical ailments like heart disease. So the question isn't whether you have a shadow, you do. The real question is, are you willing to face it? Recognizing the shadow requires courage and honesty. It often reveals itself in everyday moments. Emotional triggers. When someone annoys you, ask yourself why. What about their behavior bothers you? Often, the answer lies within your own shadow. Dreams. Jung believed that dreams offer a direct line to the unconscious. Nightmares, in particular, can symbolize shadow elements you've avoided. Patterns of behavior. Do you repeatedly sabotage relationships or avoid certain challenges? These patterns might signal shadow dynamics at play. Here's a real-life example. A man who prides himself on being calm and rational finds himself inexplicably irritated by his colleague's ambition. Upon reflection, he realizes he's suppressing his own desire for success, fearing it might make him seem selfish. His irritation is a projection of his disowned ambition. Jung's advice here is profound. The shadow is a moral problem that challenges the whole ego personality. For no one can become conscious of the shadow without considerable moral effort. Facing the shadow isn't comfortable, but it's transformative. Integration is the process of acknowledging, accepting, and incorporating shadow elements into your conscious self. This doesn't mean indulging every dark impulse. Instead, it's about understanding these traits and using their energy constructively. Step 1. Awareness through reflection. Journaling is a powerful tool for this. Write about moments when you felt angry, jealous, or afraid. Ask yourself, what does this emotion say about me? Step 2. Breaking projections. When you judge others, pause and ask, what does this judgment reveal about me? For example, if you dislike someone's arrogance, could it reflect your fear of appearing confident? Step 3. Seeking balance. Traits in the shadow aren't inherently bad, they're context-dependent. Anger, for instance, can be destructive but also protective. By understanding its roots, you can use it to set healthy boundaries instead of suppressing it until it explodes. Jung compared shadow work to alchemy. Just as alchemists sought to turn base metals into gold, integrating the shadow transforms raw, unconscious material into conscious wisdom. Shadow integration isn't just for psychologists or philosophers. It has practical applications in everyday life. Nelson Mandela. During his 27 years in prison, Mandela faced his anger and bitterness. Instead of denying these emotions, he channeled them into a vision for reconciliation. His shadow became a source of strength, enabling him to lead with compassion and resolve. Brené Brown, the researcher and author, openly discusses her struggles with perfectionism, a shadow trait she once suppressed. By embracing vulnerability, she turned a perceived weakness into a tool for connection and leadership. Personal story. Imagine a woman who always avoided conflict, suppressing her assertiveness. After shadow work, she began expressing her needs, transforming her relationships and career. What she once feared, her voice, became her greatest asset. Jung believed that purpose isn't found in avoiding difficulty, but in confronting it. The shadow holds the keys to your deepest desires and values. For example, if your shadow contains suppressed creativity, integrating it might lead you to start painting or writing. If it holds repressed anger, channeling that energy might inspire you to advocate for social change. Purpose is not about perfection. As Jung wrote, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung's insights remind us that the shadow isn't our enemy. It's a part of us waiting to be understood. By integrating it, we move closer to authenticity and uncover the purpose that has been hiding in plain sight. The journey is challenging, but every step brings you closer to wholeness. So ask yourself, what is my shadow trying to teach me? If this exploration resonated with you, like, subscribe, and share your thoughts. Together, let's uncover Journey is challenging, but every step brings you closer to wholeness. So ask yourself, what is my shadow trying to teach me? Heed mysteries of the mind and embrace the light and shadow within.